The Sleepers Media consensus number 16 transfer class in the country, the Kansas State Wildcats, Jerome Tang and the gang, who has had a lot of success with transfers. I'll never forget as a Michigan State fan watching Marquise Noel and Keontae Johnson absolutely destroy my dreams, but we're not going to relive any trauma on here. But this is the consensus number 16 transfer class in the country, according to Sleepers Media. I had them ranked at 20th. Tanner, you were a little bit higher on them, ranked at 17th, but I think everyone was kind of right around that group where they had a pretty big transfer haul for this class with a lot of different players that I'm very much excited to talk about. But before we talk about that, this is the first time I've been on a video with you, Tanner. It's the first time, maybe I think, is this the first video on the
Yep.
channel for you?
First video on the channel.
First video on the channel, and you get to do it with me. I'm sorry, but I'm happy to have you here. But tell the folks a little bit about yourself and welcome to the channel, my friend.
Thank you very much. Yeah, my name's Tanner McGrath. I've been covering college hoops for 5 years now, mostly with the Action Network. However, I also work a couple of side hustles. I am Vermont born and bred, so I am the world's biggest Vermont Catamount fan that you'll meet. I skew very mid-major heavy. I will be the mid-major advocate for this channel. I went to McGill University, so I currently reside in Halifax, Nova Scotia. And I have admired Greg Carter and Sleeper Media's work for a long time, and I'm just thrilled to be able to talk some ball with them for the rest of the season and for years to come, hopefully.
Hey, I can't wait as well. And I feel like a good video to get on here. We got a couple mid-major transfers that will be coming to Kansas State this season. So we're going to go through the class. We're going to talk about player by player, talk about their fit, talk about how we feel about them as a class. And we'll go ahead and get started with this. I want to make sure I get the players out there. So incoming this year for Kansas State, they have PJ Hagerty, who is the prize of the class. Supposedly wanted to be a $4 million man in the transfer portal. Not sure what that final number ended up being, but he was one of the best scorers in the country last year. They also get Nate Johnson from Akron, Kamari McGriff coming in from UNC Wilmington, Abdi Bashir, who was at Monmouth last season, another high scoring, very fun guard to watch. I guess I'll ask you first, Tanner, if you could pick one word to describe this class, what would you go with?
I went with variance.
Mm.
I think this is among the highest variance teams in the country. I think that if all the transfers slide into place and find their roles behind Haggerty, who needs to play like a first team All American, I think they could be pretty damn good. But a lot of things need to go right. And therefore, I think a lot of things can go wrong and the bottom could drop out. I have some questions about the backcourt defense, especially with Haggerty in there, who I am sketchy about as a defender. I think Nate Johnson will have to pick up a lot of slack on the perimeter. The Wildcats have now underperformed on offense in back-to-back years, and I'm starting to wonder if Tang's cut-heavy scheme just isn't cutting it. One of the most interesting things about this team, though, is Tang hiring North Florida head coach Matt Driscoll to be an assistant, who led the infamous Birds of Trey offense, where the Ospreys just nuked it. I think they posted a 54% three-point rate over the past 2 years, and I'm super interested in seeing what kind of impact he has on the offense and what happens with that.
Yeah, the word I actually went with, somewhat related to variance. It's scary because I think it can be scary in both ways. Because if everything hits with this team, Bashir is an absolute bucket. If anyone got
Mhm.
to watch him at Monmouth last season, now it was all give me the ball. I'm gonna use as many dribbles as I can, and if I get away from you, I'll shoot it. If I don't, I'm still gonna shoot it, and it's gonna go in. Then PJ Hagerty is one of the top scorers in the country last year. You put that type of offensive firepower in the hands of a coach like Jerome Tang, it could be, I think, a scary sight for the rest of the country, the rest of the Big 12, because it could be a very high scoring output backcourt. But to your point, what if that doesn't happen? Then you have guys that are maybe clashing a little bit too bit. Maybe it's my turn, your turn ball, and it just doesn't really work out, especially in a conference that is as well coached and as physical as the Big 12. They will expose any type of like little cracks in the armor like that. So, I think it could be scary in a good sense, could be scary in a bad sense, but it is one of the better transfer classes, I do think, as far as the amount of players that they brought in. We look at some of the other transfer classes that we graded. You have a two-man class, three-man class. They bring in five players with seven outgoing transfers as well for a Kansas State team that kind of struggled a little bit last year. So it'll be interesting to see how it kind of works out. So I want to go player by player here, and we will give a 1 star, or we'll give a star rating between 1 and 5. for the transfer fit, and then you can kind of explain, maybe your expectations for each guy. So I think it's fair to start. We'll start with PJ Hagerty, who was maybe one of the more sought after guards in the transfer portal. What star rating would you give PJ Hagerty?
5 stars. There aren't there are many negative things you could say about Haggerty and his relocation to Manhattan, but when you can get a first team All American in your backcourt, you do it. He'll score. He could score 20 a night every which way. He can do anything with the ball. He abuses defenses in transition, and I think Tang, who is a much better coach than Penny, especially on defense, will be able to hide him better on that end of the court. I think he'll be a superstar. It just depends on how the rest of the team forms around him.
Yeah, I think you got to give this a 5-star rating. Just given, I think that Haggerty and Tang, one, just personality wise and fit, I think that actually will work for them. And then two, like if you're Kansas State, you get PJ Haggerty, who is one of the more high value, high productive guards in the era of the transfer portal, where some of these guards are going to the blue bloods of the world, bigger schools, maybe bigger bad schools, but Kansas State was able to put up enough money to get him, and I think that you put him at the point guard spot for this Kansas State team, and you feel pretty good about it. I don't think you can do anything else other than a 5-star rating. Moving on to Nate Johnson, the 6'3" transfer from Akron. What would you give this player rating?
I'd go 3.5 stars, 3 stars plus. I'm excited about him because I think he could be an excellent on-ball point of attack defender. He was the MAC Player of the Year and Defensive Player of the Year for the reason, and a big reason why was because he managed nearly 2 steals a night. And Tang loves those type of pesky perimeter guard defenders. On the other hand, he's going to be relegated to a far lower usage role alongside Haggerty. And I think that could be really bad because he at Akron, he was like a high usage on ball, bowling ball, rim finisher of a guard who can't shoot. And so he's going to see his finishing decrease in the physical Big 12 for one. And two, he can't really shoot off the ball with Haggerty on it. I think he could be a decent like off-ball cutting scorer, which is always a strength of these Tang offenses, but I'm very unconvinced on the offensive end.
Yeah, I think so I would give it a 3 star as well. I was honestly leaning a little bit more towards two just because
Mhm.
of the off-ball fit. Like I like what he can bring defensively, but the games at Akron, to your point, it was like he has the ball in his hands and it was like rim to rim. I'm
Mhm.
gonna get there one way or the other. And at the level of the MAC, I think he was able to overpower a lot of guards with the strength that he does have. I mean, 6'3", 205, and he can throw his weight around for surely. But I wonder what it's going to look like off ball. If someone didn't take my synergy account, I could even give you some Nate Johnson catch and shoot threes, but I don't have it anymore. Maybe we'll
I've
get
been
that.
trying to get my Citigy account back too. It's been
Uh,
a disaster.
I miss
Replacing
it.
that data is so hard.
I miss it so,
Yeah.
so much. But in any regard, I think that Nate Johnson does bring some defensive tools that will help this team.
Mhm.
Surrounded with a bunch of guys on the team that maybe, they'll think about defense after they think about offense. I think Nate Johnson will be the guy that can bring that mentality to this team.
Again,
Uh,
you can hide Haggerty because of Johnson. That's
exactly.
the
Like
big thing. That's the big ad, and that's why he's 3.5 stars for me.
exactly.
Otherwise, he would lean more towards two, but they fit a little bit better.
100%. As a Michigan State fan, I remember we called Nate Johnson, and I did want him. We love good, undersized shooting guards that can't shoot. We love them more than anything. Moving on here, Kamari McGee, 6'9", power forward coming in from UNC Wilmington. What do you have his rating as?
I have him as a 4 star. And because I loved watching the Seahawks play last year, and McGriff was a huge reason why, he's a superstar post scorer with an elite hook. And Tang's offenses don't emphasize that, but he could be very effective as like a roller or a rim running lob threat, which is more of the Tang offensive style. He scored 10 paint points per game last year, shot 80% in the paint. Over 1 point per possession on post up sets, nearly 1.5 as a roller and lob threat. Both elite numbers. He's a good rebounder, very solid rim protector, and I think he's going to be a major help on this squad. I'm a big fan of him.
Yeah, so I do like the ad. I have it more of as a 3-star ad for me though. But I will say this, like watching what a player like David Nagesson was able to do with Kansas State, like I think he was able to turn himself into a really good, like solid player. I think McGriff can kind of do that same thing. Watching some UNC Wilmington games last year, he's just extremely solid. He's extremely solid. I think he shot like over 65% from the field, so he's making everything around the basket. He has soft touch. He rebounds well. I think it fits in for what this team needs in the front court. So he's more like the underappreciated ad of this class. I feel like he doesn't get brought up until like fourth or fifth typically, but I love the ad of Kamari McGriff, and I loved watching him with UNC Wilmington. Moving on to Abdi Bashir, who I'm gonna find it very hard not to give him a five. I'm not gonna give him a 5 star, but if it was my own personal things, I love watching the dude hoop because I love buckets. But I'll throw it to you first, Tanner, for your star rating on Abdi Bashir.
Believe it or not, I'm going to give him a 3 star. I'm much lower on him.
But he scores, Tanner. He
Well,
scores.
he's arguably the best pure shooter in the country. He led the nation with 332 three-point attempts last year, over 10 a game, and he hit 38% of them. He's also elite at the free throw line.
Mhm.
He's close to a zero in most other areas of the game. I mean, you can space the floor with him, him, Johnson, Haggerty, but you're then sacrificing a lot on defense. I'm just, I'm really interested to just see how he gets used. He's skinny. He's not good off the bounce. Doesn't pass the ball a lot. I'm hoping for like a low usage shooting and spacing role, but I'm thinking maybe this was the Matt Driscoll get. This is the shooter he wanted to run more of his offensive stuff within Kansas State. I'm gonna give him a 3 star. I'm very interested though. I think he could be a threat if used in the right way.
Yeah, the interesting thing with Bashir is that he's one of the players that you look at his percentages, right? He's a guy who shot 38% from three on over 10 attempts a game, which is extremely impressive. But I don't think any of those threes were ever in a catch and shoot format. It was
Sure.
always with the ball in his hands. Honestly,
Makes sense.
I would maybe give this a 4 if they didn't get Haggerty. Maybe they just gave Bashir the ball a little bit more. And to your point too, he's 6'7", 160 pounds. Like that is a very, very slender
Yeah.
player to play in the Big 12. And also, can a guy play off the ball? There are a few shooters that play in basketball that legit they need to take a dribble to get themselves in the shooting form and not feel good as a catch and shoot player. I'm very interested to see what it turns out. Like if it works, to your point, like they have them as this guy who's just able to launch threes and he's 6'7" and it works. But when it doesn't work, he's not gonna bring you anything else. He does
Yeah.
not rebound, he
Yeah.
does not assist guy, not a defensive guy in any regard. So and he's honestly given what he does, he turns the ball over a good amount of times too, a negative assist to turnover ratio. So yeah, I think it's the upside of it is higher than what I think an actual fit is. So I will go with a 3 star for Bashir, and
It's
then
so intriguing and it's so enticing,
I
but
know,
there's so much that you can't overlook with
I know,
him.
I
Like
can't
he's
believe he's
not like just because
106.
he can shoot doesn't mean he's going to be a plus
I
addition. But
can't believe he's 160 pounds either. That's
yeah,
that's
yeah.
crazy. I knew he was slender, but 166.7. That's my ideal body weight for me. I'll work on that. So that rounds out this class. So Tanner, I'm going to ask you 2 questions here. One, who is the best player at the end of the season? I mean, is it? I mean, I
Haggerty.
think it's PJ Hagerty, but I gotta ask.
It's Haggerty. I have nothing to add. It's Haggerty.
It is.
I hope he averages 25 a night and goes nuclear.
It is Hagerty, and he very well could do that. And then the biggest question, like, what is the biggest question of this transfer portal class?
How will the secondary guards slide in around Haggerty? What will the Caustic Johnson Bashir guys do? Will they be able to find a role that benefits the team at large, or will they just be drags on the two-way efficiency of the team because there are upsides and downsides to all three player um, you know to all the guard depth on the team. There's upsides and downsides, and it's just about finding the right role and if they can do that.
Yeah, I mean, to go off you, piggyback, I think the biggest question is just how all these guys slot together and fit,
Mm,
truthfully, because we can do the whole we're like, all right, yeah, PJ, you be this guy that's a high usage, Nate, you be the off-ball guard, that's the defensive guy to help PJ. Bashir, you shoot the ball, space the floor out, and you tell McGriff finish, and that sounds good until the player takes that and is like, wait, what do you mean? That's I need the ball.
yeah.
I need the ball. I need the ball to do what I need to do best. So it's basically, I think, the biggest question is more so Jerome Tang, I think, pulling the right strings and getting these guys to buy in, which I believe in Jerome Tang as a coach, and I do think he's due for a bounce back season a little bit, somewhat. So we'll see kind of what that looks like. And then I want to end with this one bold prediction for this transfer class. It could be player specific, it could be, I don't know, maybe team specific, just one transfer bold prediction.
Bold prediction. Haggerty falls flat on his face. The guards around him can't find a role, and Kansas State drops to like 200th in offensive efficiency. I could see it happening. That's my bold prediction. Haggerty can't figure it out. The rest of the offense can't figure it out, and Tang continues to regress as an offensive coach, and Kansas State just goes into the toilet on offense.
That's how you go bold, Tanner. Way not to sell yourself short. And honestly, there's a
I
world
could
where
see it though. I could see
oh no,
Haggerty trying to
I
be
can
like
see
this superstar, trying to drag this team, but he can't do it because there's like not enough spacing. He can't figure out the teammates, and he's putting up 20 a night, but on low efficiency, and the team just doesn't win. And you just like see him getting frustrated and dragging. Like I could see it too easily.
yeah. So my one bold transfer prediction, and honestly, I don't think it's bold enough, but I label it as this. I think that PJ Hagerty is this year's Eric Dixon.
No.
I think I think he's going to lead the country in scoring. I do think he will lead the country in scoring. I think that Kansas State will miss the tournament. I just don't think it'll work. To your point, I think the pieces won't fit well enough. It's a large transfer class. It's one with variance, like you said, but I just don't think that it's going to necessarily, I guess, lead to any success. And part of that bold prediction too is it might be a little bit of more Tang hot seat as far as what it
Yeah.
looks like. And
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. And it's nice we're on the same page where we can see that there's a lot of variance with this team, but we both sort of skew towards like the negative side. Like we could see it, I could see it more easily going bad than good.
yeah, exactly. But it'll be fun to watch. Like we said, Kansas State, the 16th rated transfer class per our Supers Media team. We will have 24 other videos ranking some other classes on here. Be sure to tune into the rest of the videos on the channel and be sure to like, subscribe, and all that.